In this video, we're going to be factoring polynomials by using what is the product sum technique. And how do you factor a trinomial of the form ax squared plus bx plus c? The first thing we're going to do is identify what a, b, and c are, 6, 23, and 7 respectively. Identifying variables is good housekeeping and will help prevent mistakes later on. So it's a step I highly suggest. Now we're going to find the product of a and c, so 6 times 7 is 42, and we want to keep in mind b, which is 23. So let's build the factors of ac and find the ones that have a sum of 23. I start with 1 times 42, and then I look at negative 1 times negative 42. Now I'm going to list all of the factors in this way, going the positive and then the negative, and I try not to skip any. I find that starting with 1 and working my way all the way up to the middle is going to help me avoid making a mistake. So this is another step that I really suggest that people do. I can see that 2 plus 21 is equal to 23, so I've identified that. Now what I do is I like to go back and put in the x's and plus signs and the equal sign where they belong to remind myself that all of these are the same. So 2x plus 21x is the same thing as 23x. Now what I'm going to do is taking the original equation 6x squared plus 23x plus 7, I'm going to substitute the value of 2x plus 21x in for 23x. These are equivalent expressions, so I have not altered my expression in any way. I've just made it easier to work with on my next step. So my step 3 was to substitute my value for bx. My last step will be to factor that expression completely. So I'm going to take the left two terms, the 6x plus 2x, and ask what do they have in common. 6 and 2 have a 2 in common, and x squared and x have an x in common. This will let me factor out the 2x, leaving within the parentheses a 3x plus 1. On my right two terms, I always take the lead sign, and I'm going to do the same thing. What do 21x and 7 have in common? They have a 7, leaving me a 3x plus 1 in the parentheses. Now, the parentheses are the same thing, so I can bring down that 3x plus 1 in parentheses and put up an empty set of parentheses. Inside that empty set of parentheses, I'm going to put in the 2x, and I'm going to put in the plus 7. Now I have factored the expression completely, and it is equivalent to the original expression of 6x squared plus 23x plus 7. So factoring polynomials systematically, the first thing that I would always do is factor for GCF. Make sure that they have nothing in common that I can't just get out of the way first. The second thing I'm going to do is those 4 steps to factor using the product sum. And the last thing I'm going to do is make sure that within the parentheses, neither of those expressions have a common factor. So I'll check for common factors again at the end just to make sure. What sculpture is to a block of marble, education is to the soul. Addison.